All right, so today we're going to talk about rates, and rates is the second part of ratios because a rate is basically a ratio. So I'm going to give you a couple definitions and some examples, and this chapter should be very short. All right, so a rate is a comparison of two numbers with different units. Now, when we were doing ratios, I made you take ounces and pounds and make them both into ounces, or we did a little bit of it. But here with the rate, we can compare two numbers that have different units, and you might have heard of rates before. So you might have heard of miles per hour or miles over hour. You might have heard of, what are some other ones? The cost, which is, let's say, you get 3 for $1. 3 cookies, 3 cookies for $1. So our unit would be miles and hours, cookies to dollars. What are some other speed is considered distance over time, which is the same as miles per hour. Distance over time, they call it something different. You might have heard of words per minute, those of you who play Nitro Type. How many words in how many minutes? So rates are just comparing two numbers with two different units. A unit rate is finding a rate where there's like per one. So it compares, I'll give you a real definition, compares a quantity to one unit of a different quantity. And basically what that means is one is on the bottom. So this would be an example of a unit rate because one is on the bottom. $1. 3 cookies, $1. I could also ask 1 cookie. What's the cost of 1 cookie? And that would change my ratio. It would flip it around a little bit. So you can write rates like a fraction, or you might see it with this side slash, which is also like a fraction line, and that line means per. So if I were to write 30, let's do 30. Sorry, this would be 30 miles per hour. 30 miles per hour. All right, so let me give you an example problem. To go with rates. All right. Sarah earns $23 in 1 hour. So this would be a unit rate because we have a bottom 1, so it would be 23 per hour. And you either have to have the 1 on the bottom or the unit. If you are answering a question to a rate, you have to have 2 numbers. If the answer asks you for the rate, you have to have 2 numbers, or at least per something. Okay, if you just have 23, your answer will be incorrect. And that will make more sense once we actually start solving. So if Sarah earns $23 in 1 hour, that's her unit rate. How much does she make in 5 hours? And we're just going to set it up like 23 for 1 hour. How much does she make in 5 hours? And what you have to do is, just like a ratio, think, what do I do to the 1 hour to get the 5 hours? Well, I multiply 1 times 5 to get the 5 hours. So I multiply the 23 by 5 to get my answer. She makes $115 in 5 hours. All right. If, here's example A, example B, Nick fills 24 bottles in 8 minutes. What is the rate he fills bottles? So this guy's putting water into bottles. So he does 24 bottles in 8 minutes. The question wants to know, what's his rate? What's his rate? What's his unit rate? So they want to know how many he can do in 1 minute. What do I do to 8 to get 1? Remember, we're only using multiplication or division. We are not using addition or subtraction. So if I take 8 and I divide it by 8, I get 1. So I do the same thing. I do 24 divided by 8 to get the rate in which he's filling bottles. 24 divided by 8 is 3 bottles per minute. If you're talking about food per pound, or anything to do with money, right? How much per pound, or how much for 1? So unit rate is actually something that your parents probably do when they go to the grocery store to find the best deal. You'll see deals that say $8 for 60 cups, or $7 for 40 cups. and they have to figure out which one the better deal is. And just because there's more for the $8 doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best price. You have to figure out the unit rate. What does it cost for just one? So you always are going to have the money on top. So let's do a comparison. Let's say $8 for, what did I say? 80 cups. And $7 for, let me change it to $7 for 75 cups. What's a better deal? So I'm going to put my money on top, $8 for 80 cups, and I want to know what 1 cup costs. $7 for 75. What is the price of 1 cup? And if I look at it this way, it just becomes a division problem. The top dog goes into the house. So 8 divided by 80, 75 divided by 7. 80 doesn't go into 8. Now that I've added my decimal and my 0, 80 does go into 80 one time. And that 1 represents an amount of money. And it's not 1 cent. Remember, it's in the tenths place. So it represents 10 cents. So 10 cents a cup. Let's figure out this one. 7 into 75. 7. Oops, I did that wrong. Look at already. 7's the top dog. Okay, so 75 into 7, 0. 75 into 70, still 0. 75 into $7. Let's guess and check. 75 times 6. 3. Not enough. $75 into $2.50. Okay, at this point I could keep going, but I already have enough numbers here to know that it's going to be less than 10 cents. It's going to be 0.09 cents. This 3 rounds this to the same. It stays a 9. So I don't have to go any further. I don't have to keep doing the division. So what's a better deal? $7 for 75 cups is a better deal than $8 for 80 cups. So don't forget, when you do this, the money's going to be on top, and it just becomes what we've practiced for the whole year, a division problem. Just like a fraction, just like a ratio, okay? The top dog goes into the house. The number on top is the one that is being divided. And you're going to practice these with things like words per minute, meters per minute, feet per hour. Let's see what else. Different ways to find the better deal if you're going to rent a bicycle. So all these different things are going to help you with rate. And like I said, it's a really short chapter. So just remember that 8 for 80 is a rate, but 10 cents for 1 is a unit rate because the 1 is on the bottom. And that's the big takeaway from these notes today. And that's it. We'll practice. Actually, let me give you one for a practice problem. Practice. So do this, and then when you come into school tomorrow, we'll check it. Okay, so a car traveled a distance of 120 miles in 2 hours. What's the speed of the car? So you're looking for miles per hour or miles per hour. You probably can do it in your head, but write it as a ratio. Rate. Okay, that's it.